We live with issues of good and bad, right and wrong, ups and downs, better and worse. All these are within a framework. The Kabbalah talks about a lot of these things, of tikkun, fixing. People talk about fixing the world and doing who knows what, correcting things. All these elements are within certain spiritual realms that relate to the physical world we live in. But if you go beyond that, all that ceases to exist. There is no right and wrong. There is no before and after. Everything is equal. If you live totally in the moment, everything is what it is. It's perfect the way it is. Perfectly imperfect, but perfect. But you have to live totally in the present. And when you live totally in the present, that's where you can connect fully with the Creator. Because there's no judgment, there's no bad or good, everything just is what it is. And then, the next moment, you have to decide where to go with it the next second, the next moment. But in this moment, it is. That's it. Yes?
If you say that everything is perfect and there is no difference between good and bad, what about the murder? What about the Holocaust? What about violence? How can you say that there's no good and bad?
Okay. Good and bad is a judgment. How can you say there's no good and bad? Good and bad is a judgment, correct? Who are you to judge what's good and what's bad? We see sometimes people do things with meaning. You love people, you do the best, and you get hurt, or someone gets hurt. You see sometimes people do the worst things, and good things come out of it. How come? If it's bad, it should be bad. If it's good, it should be good. How come it's gray? It's not black and white, it's gray. How come? Because a lot of what happens is our perception, and our perception is very limited. In anything that happens, we're limited to certain knowledges. Our body, how many things go on in our body each moment? Millions of things. Our body is constantly changing, the whole body. But how much are we aware of? 1, 2, 3, 4 things. We can't think more than that. Anything that happens to a person physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, on all levels. How much can we be aware of? Every person is a balance in themselves, in their environment, the family, in the city, in the world, in the universe. There are so many things going on, but it's too much for us to compute. So we see things in a very limited frame, and we put it into good or bad, right and wrong. But the reason we do it is because we are not totally in the present. We're not connected with the Creator. We're connected with our own mind. If we're connected with the Creator, then we'll ask, okay, this is what happened. Why did the Creator want this to happen? Or what can I learn from this? You don't judge it for good or bad. You say, what do I do with it? If you're living in the present, and someone comes to you for help, and you judge them as bad, you're not going to help them. If you judge them as good, you're not going to help them. Because you're limiting them, and you're limiting yourself. If someone comes to you, and you open your heart without thinking, good and bad, just open it, and let them be what they are. Then they can open their heart, and then they can grow. Why? Because you did not put the blockage of right and wrong judgment there. So yes, you can say things are right and wrong, but that is a very limited space. If you want to be more expansive, and you want to connect with the Creator, if that's what you want, then you have to step out of it. You have to be aware of it. Yes, when you deal with people, you have to be aware. People have issues. There are things that go on. But you in your own spirit don't have to be limited to that space. And this was an issue I had when I was 4 years old. When I was 4 years old, I went to schools being taught structure, and I had a problem. I had no one I could communicate what I was thinking or feeling, but I had an issue because I'm very expansive and did not want any structure. I don't like structure. So I asked, within myself, what should I do? I'm only 4 years old, I'm a child, I can't do anything. So I asked, and I got an answer. And the answer came to me that you'll be limited to this for 40 years, and then you'll be beyond it. Now, what that means is another story, but that's the answer I got. And what I do with that, or what I did with that after 40, is another story. But the idea of the limitations we live in limit us. Many times people have feelings, people have senses, people know things, and there's no one to talk to. And people stop believing in themselves, stop listening. They don't want to because everyone thinks they're crazy. Everyone around them says, no, that's weird, that's this, that's that. So people don't listen. When you're a child, you're very sensitive, very open. But then people teach you words. People teach you to limit things in words, in certain frameworks, in certain ways, whether it's family, school, as you grow up, and you forget that you have a self, your own identity. And then when people say, who are you? Many people put themselves in the framework of what other people expect, of what society expects, not of themselves. And they have no clue why they have problems. Yes?
How do you resolve this concept that you're saying, the fact that the Torah does seem to define for us concepts of right and wrong, if not necessarily bad and good, but right and wrong for sure. How does that fit in with what you're saying?
You're asking, Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah defines what right and wrong is. And how does that fit in with what I am saying?
That was my question, yes.
Okay, the first thing which I'd explained earlier was that that concept of sin, the way people have in the negative aspect, is not exactly what it says. And in a certain way, Adam himself, the reason he ate is, even though God told him not to, he felt that God wanted him. Why would God tell him not to out of everything? It created a feeling to do it. And he felt that God wanted him to do it, which is why he said no. And that's, most parents know when you tell a child no, that's what they do. So he felt God wanted him, and he did it. Okay, now, the word in the Torah which is translated as commandment also has another meaning, which is often tzav sov v'chibur. Tzav is connection. So when I read it, I don't read it as commandment. To me, it doesn't make sense that God is commanding people to do. You created them, give them the intuition, the understanding. You don't have to command them things. And especially, Moshe Rabbeinu says, I know you're not going to do any of this anyway at the end. But the word...
Zohar calls them advice. Really, not.
Advice. And that's how I read it. Not as commandments, but as connections. The God says, these are ways you can connect with me. You have a choice. You can do it this way or not do it. It's your choice. You're responsible for your connection. I give you many, many ways, not one way, many ways to connect. And you have to make the choice. I see it as connections, not right and wrong. When people have an issue, when someone does something wrong, I don't see it as right and wrong. I see it as a challenge. This is how you feel. Okay, what do you do with the feeling? Where do you take the feeling?
But then why does the Torah mandate punishments?
Why does the Torah mandate punishments? Very good. We'll get there in a moment. When it says there are 10 commandments, I never understood why people call it 10 commandments. The Torah says, Aseres HaDibros, 10 sayings. It doesn't say 10 commandments. So I don't know who created it, but not the Torah. So then many times when you read, when it says, don't do this, or it says don't, in Hebrew, because of the way the Torah is written, many times you can read it, the negativity is this. If you put commas in places, you separate the words and they have different meanings. And this is one of the beauties of studying what the rabbis have said through all generations, is because you see how they take the words, and the words have many meanings and many ways of applying it. And each place has a different way of understanding it. So, when the Torah says someone has to be put to death, it doesn't mean they're physically put to death. And in fact, the rabbis didn't put people to death, because putting someone to death was almost impossible. Having to be warned within 3 seconds, having 2 witnesses, it was generally not an issue. The idea of putting to death, one aspect is kares, is that what you do cuts you off from the Creator. So the death and punishment you get is not you go, when you die you get punished. Not someone else punishes you. Your own action is your own punishment. Your own action is your own death. And that's why when I walk around the street, when I deal with people, it's amazing to see how many dead people are actually walking around the street. They're not alive, they're not awake. Their own actions, their own thoughts have killed them. So I don't see death as someone being punished by someone else. I see it as a person doing it to themselves.
Malchus also? You see it the same way?
Yeah, I don't have a cat of 9, but yeah, people sometimes get into a frenzy and whip themselves.